Hello there Tenno, and welcome back to another Frame of Lore video. Today I want to go over our favourite infested family, the Entrati. Now, as always, there will be spoilers, especially for people who have not completed their story quest, so consider yourselves warned as I will be going over some of the information we learned once you have completed it. With that said, let's get into today's video. So, who are the Entrati family? We meet them during the Heart of Deimos quest, in which we discover an Orokin family that have become infested and are living alongside it. This family were renowned during the Orokin era for being the first ones to create technology that harnessed the powers of the Void. Though when the Orokin used a biobomb on Deimos, the family sealed themselves in the Necrolisk, though the Sun broke containment protocol, which allowed the infested spores to get inside. We have discussed Albrecht Entrati before, though I think it's now time we look at the entire family. Let's start with Mother, or as we will come to know her, Gomaitru. She was once known as Eularia Entrati, and is the daughter of Albrecht. She assisted her father in creating Void technology, and even helped in the construction of the Zariman 10-0. Eularia would provide instructional presentations for the children on board the Zariman, and even wrote the storybook The Tales of Duviri, which was created to teach the children emotional control in the event of Void exposure. We all know how well that went for a certain drifter. Sometime after the construction of the Zariman, Albrecht disappeared, and Eularia would become obsessed with finding him. Her relationship with the rest of the family broke down, and she seemed somewhat emotionally abusive, not really valuing the other members of the family. She was so obsessed with finding her father, she believed she could hear him speaking to her from beyond the wall, and often ordered other members of the family to assist in her search, growing more paranoid of plots against her as time went on. When her husband tried to tell her to move on, she attacked him whilst the children watched. When the heart of Deimos began to collapse, she knew only her husband could repair it, though he was nowhere to be found. So she reached out to the Tenno, asking for help. Over the time we help the family, we can see her try and repair the damage that has been caused. Now, moving on to her husband, who we first come to know as Father, though he becomes known as Vilkor. We know that he served during the Old War as a railjack gunner. He mentions how unsettling it was for him to see a sentient Murex for the first time. He would then go on to meet Eularia, who was continuing to search for Albrecht. He married her and believed he could help her move on from the loss of her father, though he didn't know how wrong he was. He also went on to design the large war machines known as the Necromechs in order to fight against a sentient invasion. Whilst these machines were useful and managed to hold the line for a time, the Orokin decided to retire them in favour for the Warframes. When the Tenno find him, he believes that his wife is simply trying to manipulate him into coming home, that when he sees the danger to the heart of Deimos is real, he returns and helps to try and fix it. He gives the Tenno a Necromech to pilot during the final mission. Once the mission is done, he decides to stay in the Necrolisk to show the family what he is capable of, and over time starts to mend his relationship with the family. Now moving on to Daughter, who we come to know as Kaylee. She's a biologist who specialises in xenobiology and xenobotany. She originally was not meant to accompany her family to Deimos, though stowed away to be with them. Whilst on Deimos, she was tasked with genetic engineering and experimentation on the fish there. When they became trapped in the Necrolisk, things became strained rather quickly. Her brother eventually stole her fish and left behind a box of ash and bones to make her believe he'd killed them. She asked the Tenno to bring her samples of fish so she can study the infested hive mind, as she fears that one day they will all succumb to it and lose any sense of who they are. Through her observations of the worms, Fass and Vohm, as well as her observations into the many fish of Deimos, she hopes to find a way to preserve her family's independent consciousness. She is also the one who assists Carl 175 in his fight against Nama and their new leader, Pazul. Moving on to the Sun, who we will come to know as Chimeros. He's responsible for the infestation getting inside the Necrolisk, as he broke containment protocol. He attempted to find solitude in wandering the Cambrian Drift on Deimos, and dressed up different creatures as his mother and father. The one dressed as his mother would end up falling into a pit, followed by the one dressed as his father. Once his father learned of this, he saw it as an act of mockery, so executed his infested pets as per anti-infestation protocols. He would then go on to break the containment protocol and allowed some beasts to follow him home, which resulted in infested spores contaminating the necrolisc and the family. As punishment, he was banished from the family archives and fitted with a collar that stripped him of his Entrati command words. The Tenno meet the son in the tunnels on Deimos, and he shares his current status and how he is responsible for infesting the whole family. He exhibits a small desire to let the infestation win, as it might not be the abomination that the Tenno thinks it is. He is, however, able to put his squabbles aside and assist the family. He also seems to be the only member of the family who has accepted his infested nature and seeks to understand the moon's unique processes by studying the wildlife. As the Tenno aids the family, he mends a relationship with his family. His mother even eases on his restrictions. Moving on to one of the more mysterious members of the family, we have Grandmother, who is the mother of Vilkor. Thanks to the recent Narborough story, we learn that her name was once Dagath, though she gave her name to a once nameless and faceless Warframe, who now carries her new name with her. She did her best to heal the family and keep them together, often taking care of their wounds or ailments, though the family kept becoming increasingly dysfunctional. Once the Tenno have reunited the family, Grandmother will comment that despite their dysfunctional nature, they will come together in a crisis. It also seems as if she caused the events surrounding the heart's destruction to unite the family. Lastly, we have Otak, who is a damaged Cephalon who was affected by the energies on Deimos. The family integrated him into a necroloid named Lloyd, which has made his personality more erratic as he switches between Otak and Lloyd. He is always eager to help the Tenno, and seems to be more whimsical in nature. Once we unlock Dante's research shop, we can learn that Otak was once an Archimedean, who is the first to discover the unique properties of argon. And that wraps up the main members of the family we meet during the Heart of Deimos questline. This dysfunctional family learns to heal and become stronger over time, thanks to the Tenno, who they welcome into their family and give them the name Ayaten. I quite like the story of the Entrati family, and how through everything they suffered and through all the bickering and squabbles, they still came together and repaired what was broken to become a family again. I decided not to include the real Lloyd here, as I want to go over his and Albrecht's story separately. But that is all from me today. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, though just the fact you have watched this already means so much to me. Stay safe out there, Tenno, and I'll see you all in the next one.